All right, let's dive into something that sits right at the wild intersection of faith, physics, and, well, reality itself. We're going to unpack a pretty mind-bending idea called the holographic Quran. It's a theory that asks us to question literally everything we see around us. The whole thing really kicks off with this one huge question. I mean, think about it. We see a sacred book as a guide for how to live, right? But what if it's more than that? What if it's the actual, literal source code for our entire universe? And at the very heart of this whole theory is this one single number, 237. Now, according to the people behind this idea, this isn't just some random number they pulled out of a hat. No, they claim it's the master key, a kind of divine signature that unlocks the entire cosmic code. Okay, so what is this theory in a nutshell? Well, it suggests that our 3D universe is actually a projection, like a hologram. And the information for that hologram, the 2D blueprint, if you will, is contained within the literal Arabic text of the Quran. It's a pretty wild thought experiment for sure. But you gotta be asking, right? Why 237? Of all the numbers in the world, why that one? Well, the theory's proponents say it's because of something they call a triple convergence. They argue that this number shows up in three totally separate, distinct ways in the text, and that the odds of that being a coincidence are just astronomical. So check this out. Here are the three derivations. First, a word count. They say the Arabic word for human, insan, and its related forms appear exactly 237 times. Second, they use an ancient system called abjad, which gives a number value to each letter. And third, a sound count. They claim there are 237 unique sounds, or phonemes, in the famous light verse. Three totally different methods, all pointing to the exact same number. Okay, so let's say 237 is the key. How in the world do you go from a number in a book to, stars, planets, and everything else? How does a 2D text project a 3D cosmos? Well, this is where science, or at least theoretical physics, comes into the picture. The theory leans on a real concept called the holographic principle. It's this idea that our 3D reality could just be a projection of information that's stored on some distant 2D surface. The theory just takes that one step further and asks, what if that 2D surface is the Quran? This diagram really helps visualize the proposed process. Think of it like a cosmic assembly line. You start with the source, which is the text of the Quran. Then you use the key, our number, 237, and run it through a specific algorithm, a mechanism. And what comes out the other end? The projection, our universe. And the theory gets surprisingly specific about that algorithm. This isn't just some vague, mystical hand-waving. It actually names a specific projector, the SHA-256 cryptographic hash function, something used in real-world computer security. The idea is that this function takes each one of the Quran's 6,236 verses, uses 237 as the key, and generates a unique coordinate in 3D space. Now, of course, this is where the debate really heats up. Supporters look at these numerical patterns and see something too precise to be random, a kind of divine fingerprint. But skeptics push back. They argue that these counts really depend on how you choose to count and what you include. They say you're missing the point, that the Quran is a book of spiritual metaphor, not a blueprint for physics. But let's just push forward with the idea for a minute. If this were true, what are the implications? If reality is just code, then what does that say about us? What's the role of human consciousness in a pre-written universe? And this is where it gets truly wild. Remember how the word for human, insan, supposedly appears 237 times? The theory says that's the ultimate twist. It means the observer, that's you, that's me, is actually written into the source code. So we're not just living in the universe. We are the mechanism by which the universe reads and experiences and understands itself. It's this perfect, self-contained loop. Now, you might be thinking this is all just fascinating numerology, but here's what takes it a step further. The theory actually makes specific, measurable, and, this is key, falsifiable predictions. It says that if it's true, physicists should be able to detect a tiny periodic drift in one of the fundamental constants of nature. And on top of that, reciting the Quran with a 237 Hz tone should actually create measurable order in the sound waves. But just when you think you've got your head wrapped around all the numbers and the codes and the physics, the theory takes one last, really surprising turn. It basically says all that stuff isn't the real point. The creators of the theory use this incredible metaphor. They say the theory itself is like a raft. The whole system, the numbers, the SHA-256 function, all of it, is just a vehicle designed to get you across a river of understanding. But once you're on the other side, you leave the raft behind. You don't need it anymore. So what's on the other side of that river? The theory claims that the ultimate reality isn't the code. It's not a number. It's something the text calls divine mercy, or rahma, a boundless, infinite reality that exists before and beyond all numbers, all codes, all of creation. The entire holographic system, in the end, isn't the reality itself. It just points toward it. Which leaves us with one final, looping question to ponder. If our universe is a text, and if we ourselves are written on its pages, then who or what is the reader?